Hello there, this is Donna Reiners, and I had some thoughts come into me today, and I just want to share them with you. Sometimes we have this inclination that if we don't take huge steps, that we're going to either miss the boat, or we're not going to make it, or maybe we're going to drown, or what have you. And I had this thought today, and it was really, really fun, and I could see myself taking 1 inch at a time. And I thought, what the heck? So what's 1 inch, I thought? What's 1 inch times 31 days? Well, let me tell you what it is. I looked it up. 1 inch times 31 days is 2 feet, 8 inches. So over 3 months, if you just took an inch toward your goal every day for 3 months, you would go about 7 feet. So maybe you think, well, that's not very far. Well, you know what? It's farther than you are right now. It's much farther than you are right now. I just want to encourage you to not despise the small steps. This is the beginning of the new year, the beginning of, man, can you believe a new decade? That is crazy stuff. So here we are, and there's all sorts of things happening in people's lives. There's all sorts of emotions stirring. There's all sorts of ideas coming. There's some people who have dread. There's some people that are confused. Some people are like, you know what? I can't believe it's another year. And so wherever you are in your process, do not despise the inch-like steps, because inch-like steps bring feet that bring miles, that bring victory. And so I believe that every inch is a victory. Every inch you take is important. And maybe they're so incremental, so tiny, that you can't even see that you're making them. Maybe they're so tiny that you look behind you all the time and you don't think you've gone anywhere. Listen, you're going somewhere. Just don't sit down and don't quit. Don't shut down and don't turn around. And don't turn away from the challenge in front of you. Do not run away from what's in front of you, but take a deep breath and look at it square in the eye. Just look at it square in the eye and say, okay, this is the thing. Square in the eye. I'm looking and I am not giving up. Tell yourself and say it out loud that you are not going to give up. It's too soon to give up. You've just begun. And maybe you came into this next season with a lot of dread and unbelief, and maybe you have painful memories that have been stinging you like a bee along the way. And you're thinking, what's the use? Or they're jabbing at you so greatly that you're losing sight that every inch you take is important. Maybe you've lost sight of the growth you had last year. Take a deep breath and look at yourself in the mirror and see that you're not the same person you were at the beginning of last year. And you won't be the same person a year from now. So I just wanted to strengthen you tonight with, I'm going to repeat it because it bears repeating to me. Hello there. Hey, good to see you. Yay. Hi, y'all. Nice to see y'all. I was wondering if anybody was awake because, you know, it is a work time for some folks, and some people are just late night regardless. So it is so good to see y'all this evening, and I want to talk about these steps that we take that we don't think are important. Maybe you have education goals. Maybe you have financial goals. Maybe you have health goals. Maybe you have mental, emotional health goals. Whatever it is, that you are moving toward, do not give up right when you hadn't even gone out of the gate yet. Remember what I said in the very beginning. Did you know that 1 inch times 31 days is 2 feet 8 inches? 2 feet 8 inches. That means over 3 months, you've gone about 7 feet. That's a big deal, guys. Do not give up on you, and do not give up on the person next to you. And listen, you and the person with you are not in the same exact place. And that's where we get to bear the fruit of patience and kindness. You know, those things that sometimes we think we can't do. We think it's impossible. Yet we have been completely, totally created with the capability and the power to walk out this life with kindness towards ourselves and kindness towards those around us. And to me, that's a powerful thing. I mean, you can get where you're going all day long, but if you run over somebody when you're doing it, then it's almost a fruitless effort. So listen, don't run over you. Don't run over you. Look at your inch steps. 1 inch times 1 inch times 1 inch times 1 inch times 31 is 2 feet 8 inches. That's not very far in your mind, but in 3 months, you can barely make a split out of it. And in a year, it will be a large chunk that you have walked. Hello there, Terry. It's so good to see you. Oh my goodness. Blessings to you. 2 feet 8 inches. 2 feet 8 inches times 3 months. So what is that times 6 months? See, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Wow, we're talking 14, 15, like 16 feet. So you've come a considerable distance at 6 months. So you look at that times two 6 months periods, and you've come a great distance. So don't despise your little steps because they mean something. Do not despise the little steps that your friends are taking or your family's taking. Everybody's in their own race, their own place, and yet at the same time we're all in it together. So we all impact one another. And we can all blow kind wind on one another while we're walking it out, right? So be kind to you. Be good to you. Don't give up on you. Look at those inches and go, wow, I took an inch. Yay, I took an inch. Yay, I took an inch. Look, celebrate the inches because the inches become feet and the feet become miles. And then you'll look back and you'll realize how far you've come. How far you've come. At the end of this year, you'll be a whole different person. And you know what? You're probably a different person today than you were a year from now. Behind you, right? So I just was looking at a couple of thoughts. I got them right here. So check this out. So, the one inside you, Father, Son, and Spirit, are more than able to do whatever He calls you to. Maybe your imagination has put you into doing some things that are way beyond your inch that you're taking right now. Just know that inch by inch by inch are the goals that meet your dream and your vision and complete it. Also, if you'll have a positive expectation while you're moving forward, a positive one, not a false one, not I'm going to fly to the moon tomorrow, but how about, hey, I'm going to take these steps tomorrow, and by the end of the year I will have taken these steps. Put something in front of you that is far enough away that it will challenge you, but yet not so far away that if you don't meet it, you feel like you've completely failed. Don't allow yourself to do that. And at the same time, know there's no limit to what can be accomplished by the ones who live inside you. Remember, you're not alone. You're led by those who live inside you. Father, Son, and Spirit living inside of you. Also, remember that if you do have false expectations, if you do feel like you're running and you keep sabotaging or all those things, and maybe that's actually what's happening to you. Maybe you are encountering and experiencing true sabotage. Maybe those things are really happening to you and you're not talking about it, but it's really happening. Listen, take a deep breath and then take another one and then take another one. And I want you to imagine yourself going to the bottom of an ocean. And I want you to imagine yourself being able to breathe there without drowning, without suffocating. I want you to imagine yourself at the bottom of an ocean in complete peace. In complete peace. And I want you to sit there and I want you to dwell on the peace that's from inside. Because listen, nobody inside of you is rattled. Our soul might be rattled, right? But you don't have to be rattled. You don't have to be rattled. And I'm telling you, sometimes we get rattled. You may say you don't, but I guarantee something rattles you ever so often. I guarantee something triggers you ever so often. And some of us get triggered more often than just ever so often. So in that place, go to a place of peace and just allow your mind to be completely controlled by the power within you. Allow your mind to consider the power that lives within you. Allow your mind to wrap itself around the possibilities. Are they false possibilities? No, they're not. In Christ, there are no false possibilities. Is there timing to possibilities? Absolutely. When you're 2 years old, you don't give a Porsche to that person. You don't give keys to a 2-year-old, right? You probably don't give them to a 15-year-old unless they're just spanking rich or something. Sometimes there's maturity and there's growth taking place in that inch by inch by inch by inch by inch. And you can be encouraged by those inches instead of discouraged by what you don't see happening. There are times when we don't see what we want happening fast enough and we make a decision that either we've made a mistake or there's emotions that are just whipping around us that are causing us to think we're losing our minds when those are not truths. Those are not truths. The ones inside you are not losing their mind. As a matter of fact, that is the mind that we need, and that's the mind we gain when we stop. Listen, time can train us. Time can train us. Waiting upon the ones who live inside of us. Waiting upon the ones who know us better than we know ourselves. Waiting upon the ones that if you look in the mirror, man, you can look right in their eyes. If you can look right in their eyes, woo! That's where the peace is. That's where the peace is. So we can practice taking a deep breath. And in your heart and in your mind, listen, God gave us an imagination on purpose. Why don't we use it for something good? Go down into that place where there is a voice that dwells. A deep, deep voice that dwells deep inside of you. And that's the voice to hear. That's the voice to tune into. That's the voice to listen to. That's the voice to receive from. And that's the voice that always leads to life. Always, 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 always leads to life. The voice inside, when you go deep, and you go deep, 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 and you get quiet, and you get still, and you listen for that kind of peace, the deep peace, that's the voice that always leads to life. That voice will not lead to death. That voice will not lead you into a place of harm. That voice will not lead you into a place to harm you or harm anybody else. That is how you can gauge if the voice you're listening to is the voice of life or the voice of death. These are things to know as you move forward in your life today, in your career, in your social life, in your playtime, in your relationships, in your finances, gosh, in your home life, where you live, where you move, where you have your being. This is a place to be patient. And I have a friend, her name is Naomi, and she tells her kids, hey, wait with joy. That's her definition of patience. Wait with joy. And the word wait, listen, the word wait means to cling to hold on to. It means to long for, desire. It's not a false expectation. These are confident expectations. When you move into the new covenant and you see the work that Christ has done on your behalf and on my behalf, there's a confidence in clinging, not a false expectation. There is a wisdom in clinging as you're moving forward, not just sitting and say, okay, I'm waiting for you to move, God. And God's like, you know what? I did what I was going to do. What are you going to do? And he's waiting for us to move with him. And he's waiting to move with us. Why? Because we're married. Because we're one. And if you'll listen to the one inside, deep inside, and receive the position of bride, you will be able to hear the peace and to get in a place of stillness where the unbelief and the frequencies of the enemy and the darkness wants to still kill and destroy your life or the life of those around you. If you will practice the purpose of just stopping and breathing. Just do it right here with me. Just stop and breathe. Do you take deep breaths? I was noticing today, I was sitting watching something for a few minutes, and I was like, I thought, there are no deep breaths in that. You know, deep breaths can move your body into a place of peace, move your body into a place of rest. Deep breaths. So listen, maybe you're in a place where it seems so dark that you think you're fixing to lose your mind. No, hey, no, you're not going to lose your mind. The purpose of the dark is for you to find the mind of the one who gave you peace beyond the pieces. That's the purpose of the dark. Dark always has a purpose. Though darkness wants to steal, kill, and destroy, God leads into life. He leads away from the death, wanting to steal, kill, and destroy. He leads you into the life. He uses darkness as his tool to bring you into life if you'll stop. Listen. And let all the pieces go. And get in that place where you can hear. Where you can hear. Where you can hear. And instead of letting difficulties, circumstances, emotional upsets, things that literally want to throw you out of control, instead of allowing those things to happen, instead of allowing them to control you, you stop and look at that as like a Hollywood scene and go, wait, all these emotions. I want you to picture, in Hollywood, they have those fake scenes they put up around them, and Gunsmoke and the Wild Wild West, and even some of the movie sets for Fancy Digs. They are actual just scenes set up. I want you to picture the emotional upsets. I want you to even picture the fears and the pain and the pieces that are wanting to just claw you and torment you. I want you to picture them right now with me. Picture them as a Hollywood set. And I want you to pick up your leg, and I want you to go, no! And I want you to kick it down. I want you to make a decision to kick that thing down. And I want you to see the Hollywood set going down with your foot. And if you can't move your feet in your mind, I want you to do it inside here. Inside here. There are stories about people that have been prisoners of war. And for all those years, I don't recall who they are, I apologize, but I'm remembering that one of them was a golfer, and in his mind, for those years that he was held captive, he practiced golfing. And every time he golfed, his little ball went into the hole. And when he was delivered from that place of being a prisoner of war, I mean, listen, do you feel like a prisoner of war? Do you feel like you're in prison, you're a prison camp, and you're being tortured? Inside your mind, you have some power. There's some power inside you. So stop. He stopped, and every day he did that. And when he got out and he went and golfed, from what I was told, what I heard, what I read, whatever it was, when he golfed that first time, that ball went right into that hole. That's an intense power on the inside of the Father, Son, and Spirit, who's given us their mind to make decisions with. So, instead of letting these difficulties, instead of letting these compromises, instead of letting these pains, instead of letting these dwellings, these dark dwellings to cause you to worry, to cause you to be anxious, to cause you to be anguished, I want you to kick them down like they're a Hollywood set. And if you have to see yourself literally, and if you can't cook, then push it down. Whatever it takes. Use your guns, push one of them down at a time until all of them are down. And you know why I want you to use your own effort in it versus like blowing it up with dynamite? Because the power inside you can be brought forth through you. And so taking action on the inside of you will help you take action in the physical realm of you when it's time. So keep your eyes and your mind wide open to what he's doing versus this Hollywood set that has the intention to kill, steal, and destroy your joy, your life, your purposes. And all I can tell you is, listen, I have experienced this torment. And I'll just be disclosure, not that long ago, I experienced some. In my office, on my knees, weeping my guts up. In some deep, deep, painful anguish. And that was after a battle of physical pain. And so you may have if you have a different way of doing it, hey, I'm all ears. Bring it. But for me, what worked was for me to take all the weeping and all the anguish and all the pain that was attempting to cause me to basically lose it. Instead, I stopped. So, okay, God, what the hay is going on? And got there long enough to hear the thought of peace that caused all this other to dissipate. Is it the only way? Probably not. I think there's lots of ways to do a lot of things. All I know is if what you're doing is not working, you need to try something else. You know? So keep your eyes and your mind open. Not to what the enemy's doing, but to what God's doing. You have the power to kick out what the enemy's doing inside your mind, causing you to be unkind to you or be unkind to somebody else, harm you or harm somebody else. You have the power to stop it. And there are a couple scriptures I would like to read for those of you who are faith followers. To him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Listen to what I said. Father, Son, and Spirit living inside us. To him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations. That's Ephesians 3. The mind of sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. You know what that means? Listen, some people pull that and just pull that as a card against people. When your thoughts are making you crazy, that's not God leading you. Will it eventually lead back to God? Sure it will. You know why? Because God is faithful. You know what? God is faithful. When we are not faithful, our God is faithful. When we are not faithful, our God is faithful. Matter of fact, I look for the faithfulness of God when I feel like I'm clueless and I have no idea what I'm doing. I look for his faithfulness because he's the smartest person I know and he lives inside of me. So I stop and look and listen and go, okay, what's happening? And that's taken training to do that. That didn't just happen for me because I didn't grow up in a circumstance where I was taught to hear from God or know that I was created by God or any of those things. But now that I do know, I'm responsible for that. You and I are responsible to know that we are created as spirit, that we came from God. We live this life, this planet with God, and we return to God. And I was thinking the other day, about the DNA of Christ and how many times we think we fall short of what we should be exemplifying from that place seated in him in a heavenly place. Well, I was thinking about when we were first born on the inside in the womb, how we are like the size of a grain of rice. Oh my gosh. We're just itsy bitsy teeny wee. See that now? Like tiny. But you know what? Our design is inside that cell. Our design to live and move and breathe and have our being in him is inside our cell. You know how I know? Because he is life. We can only live because of him. So listen, when we're born, here he is on the inside of us. He's on the inside of us. Sorry, I can't put my hand inside me. Just picture it. He's on the inside of us, creating us, making us, doing what Jesus does, doing what God does, doing what we can't do, doing what we cannot do. And he awaits the day for us to awaken and say, wait, I know you. I came from you. Ecclesiastes says, we came from God and we return to God. And that was in the Old Testament. Come on, how much more when Christ came in the fulfillment he worked at the cross on our behalf. How much more? We are spirit. And in that place of spirit with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we are capable of so much more than we know and that we understand. So I just wanted to encourage you today to take a deep breath and remember whose you are. Remember who lives inside of you. Stop and determine what you can do to get to a place of peace so the pieces will fall off. Let your life, if it's in torment, become a Hollywood set and just kick those walls down inside your mind, because the mind is a powerful thing. God made our minds to be powerful. We are not weaklings. We are powerful. We are powerfully connected from our head to our souls. And in that place, you can withstand, you can persevere, you can be patient, you can bear the fruit of the Spirit. And when you fail, that doesn't mean you're a failure. Listen, start this decade off in a righteous attitude about you and about those around you. Don't dismiss the people around you. Maybe they're not living up to your expectations. You know what? That doesn't mean we give up on each other. That doesn't mean we turn back from each other. That doesn't mean that we just cram it down each other's throat that we're weak and we don't know what we're doing. No. This means we take a deep breath and we get to love one another as best as we know how. Let's just love one another from our spirits alive in Christ. And in that place, we'll learn from a place of love. We came from love. We get to live with love. And we get to return to love. Oh, it's a beautiful thing to understand who we came from. That we are loved completely, totally, unconditionally, completely, fully accepted. Though man may reject you, God does not reject you. Though man may put conditions on loving you or telling you you're not good enough, God does not do that. God does not demand that you clean up to get with Him. That is a fleshly expectation. That's a church expectation and a worldly expectation. But it's not a godly expectation. We don't have to clean up. We're already cleaned up. It was done without our permission. It was done long before we were born. And we get to say yes to the dress. And we get to enjoy the one who lives inside. I bless you today. It's good. It's good, guys. It's good. Thank you for joining me. It's fun to do a little impromptu. I'll start some regulars soon. If you're interested, let me know. And just soon. This is Donna Reiners. Let's live from our greatest partner inside. If you just clued into the video, I encourage you to go back and watch the whole thing. It's not too long. I think it'll strengthen you. Please share with a friend. Maybe it'll save somebody's life. Until soon. Bye.